All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So we're going to take a look at the quant sector, looking at the usual four. If I've got time, I'll throw in a couple others. I'm seeing some movement after hours. I don't really see what is making it do it. All right, it's not really a crazy move either. So I think for now we'll just ignore it. But maybe it's an interesting sign that hey, the technical setup is pretty good here. And look, that's gonna be the theme of this video. All right, you can see that Rigotti has been over the 8, falls just a little bit below the 20, never confirms the loss, and all of a sudden we're right back over it, right? QBTS, what am I looking at? The exact same thing, right? We were over it. We fall a little lower down to the 50, but all of a sudden we're right back over it. Same little after hours pop going on right there. QUBT, nice little day right here, right? Again, just making our way. Definitely fell further below the 50 than any of the others, and you know I'll call that out, right? But looks like we had a good golden line from previous, and yeah, what was a tough resistance, what was that golden line we couldn't initially get over, right? All of a sudden it does that nice little support thing that we see right here. Again, I'm seeing that after hours move happen again. Let's take a look at IONQ. This is kind oh my, yo, that's a bigger pop. Give me a sec. Let me go on my phone. Did IONQ have some news? Hold on, hold on, hold on. IONQ. What's going on with you, IONQ? It looks like there's earnings for IONQ. I don't know if that's today, if it's tomorrow. What is the date saying? It's saying it's tomorrow. Yo, that's definitely a bigger pop on IONQ. Again, I'm trying to be here saying let's ignore them a little bit, but yeah, that one's definitely a bigger one, and you can see it's already coming up to the golden line. So look, again, I'm not really seeing any headlines after hours. Please let me know if something's happening while I'm recording this in the comments, right? But yeah, I liked all three. IonQ didn't look as good. Obviously, it was still below one of them, but all of a sudden, this little after hours got us curious, right? But that's a real solid to see, right? You know we love sector strength. I can't say that enough, right? When they all look good, it's a beautiful thing right there, right? I have to at least say the one thing that has me just a little bit worried is the NASDAQ. And again, nothing crazy, right? We're still over the 20 moving average. I don't really like the fact that we gapped up over the 8 and then definitely lost it and then lost it by a lot, right? We also did lose more than 50% of yesterday's candle, right? So some things are definitely on the bothersome side, but hey, at the minimum, I'm liking this little sector setup right here. I'm gonna go back to IonQ one more time. Interesting. Yeah, no, I don't. I'm not. I'm curious to see what the comments are. I know there's a lot of really good traders here, and let's see if you know something that I haven't seen yet. But yeah, I actually was gonna make this video regardless of this little after hours pop. I saw the setup and I liked it. So, cool. Before we do go any further, though, and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it, all right? So I'm talking about the quant sector. And, you know, before I talk about quant, I think it's worth at least taking a step back and talking about all the really good earnings that we've seen. And really, all of the tech heavy, all of the AI focused, all of the stuff that really fuels what quantum computers are going to be used for, what they can eventually do, et cetera, right? I mean, Nvidia did well, Microsoft did well, Palantir did well. I think AMD is doing well as I'm saying these words right now. There's a couple other tech companies that I'd never heard of. I mentioned it in the Discord earnings room. Like there's a lot of really good tech earnings, all right? I just said in the opening thoughts though, it's a little odd to me that the NASDAQ isn't really recovering as quickly as I wanted to, but hey, let's be honest, that was a really scary Friday, you know, and we're all the way up here actually with it. So maybe in some ways I want to get back to this, staying over the 8 and doing good things, maybe. I don't know. Sometimes I get a little greedy. You know that, right? But MACD and RSI definitely have the red over green. We want green over red. It does look like volume is shifting just a little bit. And again, we've had some really good big name earnings, right? So can't take away from this NASDAQ focus. I say it all the time, right? NASDAQ is the ocean for all these little tech stocks that are these little boats that we're floating on, right? And when the ocean is calm, when the NASDAQ is happy, oh man, it's a lot easier to ride our little dinky boats out there, right? And, I'm not saying it's not happy. We're still holding the 20, right? It's the 8 and the 20 that we talk about on these videos, right? So, just give me a little bit more, get me right back over that 8, and clearly I'll be a lot happier, right? But it kind of seems like the quantum stocks right now have a little bit of that tech momentum is what I think it is. Because again, as I'm thinking of all these big name tech earnings that just dropped, they really, really were talking about not just AI, but that infrastructure around it, right? And very, very much quantum computing is that infrastructure, eventually probably going to be running everything, not how many decades from now, right? So, all that said, I like the technicals of at least 3 of the 4 of these, right? You look at RGTI, Regati, you look at QBTS right here, you look at QUBT, no, this one was under it. Okay, so at least the first 2. So RGTI and QBTS are at least the 2 that are right back over the moving averages. All right, we were clearly above them. We definitely fall below them. Lo and behold, we're right back above them, right? So that's at least what started to catch my eyes with this. QBTS is sitting on this golden line, right? This is the difference between all-time highs, lovely, beautiful, beautiful, and not, right? So we tried to get over it, couldn't confirm. We tried to get over it, couldn't confirm. We're gonna be trying again, it looks like, right? So let's see if volume can do its thing. And hey, there's 2 things I want to call out with volume. Number 1, obviously volume is over the white line. Today was the first day in all of these, right? What I'm seeing and I'm actually liking more is the white line starting to come down. All right, so let's take a step back. This big volume jump right here was very much taking the white line from down here all the way to up here. All right, and it's a difference of like 80, 90 million versus 50 million. It's almost a 50% move, right? As we start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, this is that 50-day window. This is what's going to dictate the 50-day white line. None of these big peaks are part of the white line math anymore. And all of a sudden, this white line that was up here in the 70 millions has already dropped to 50. Right? And it might even keep going down, right? Because we've been living down here in the 30s for most of this last recent window, right? So as the white line comes down, it should be easier for us to break that line and make it look like good volume, right? So I think I like the fact that volume is coming as the white line is coming down. That's it. Look, obviously, I would love for it to stay and make this white line go up, because volume just won't stop pouring in, right? But volume comes, volume goes. It affects the math. It looks like my thing is a little frozen. There we go. We're out of the freeze. And now it's kind of catching itself up. So I do see the red over green on the MACD and the RSI, but really I think at this point, I'm more focused on us escaping the moving averages, being over the golden line, and volume starting to look better as that white line goes down. Right, so I think that's my 1, 2, 3 right there on QBTS. Let me do RGTI and then I might chapter the other 2 separately, because look, this is kind of the same thought actually. It's not as drastic, but let me just zoom in a little bit. The line was up here at 52. The line is now definitely under that 50, and you can see it's actually at 48, right? So I see us at one point, we were even all the way up here at 59, right? Well over this little gray line right here at 50. We're now below that gray line at 50, right? We went from 60 something to high 50 something to 40 something. That's a decent percentage right there drop, right? So again, I think it's that same common story. We're seeing the white line come down. down. We're seeing volume come back. We need a little more volume to come back, right? At least QBTS was over it. This one's basically at it, right? But same red over green. Maybe you can say that the MACD is a little bit better here, right? But yeah, let me talk about some lines real quick. Okay, so Rigotti is not over my next golden line, right? This was an old golden line. We broke it. We ran all the way up here. Beautiful things happened. If we can break this one again, I think beautiful things are going to happen, right? So we're basically looking for 18, right? My line's at $17.94, so basically $18, right? Clearly, there are lines up here. Clearly, all-time high is way up there. This is what's going to dictate all-time highs for me or not. And again, really, there is nothing else besides this little moment right here. So you break 18, I'm going to start thinking all-time highs, and then we'll be watching that, all right? Otherwise, look, I think the first thing to say is as long as we're over, I'm a little bit higher, but as long as we can hold $16, I think this is very bullish. Truth be told, this thing can actually drop all the way down to 1570 and still be pretty bullish. You know what I mean? So I'll end it with, look, this after hours run very much cooled off as I was recording, right? We'll go into the 1 minute real quick. Yeah, I don't know what happened. There was something right here, and then clearly green, green, green went red, 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 right? So, not exactly sure. And then, hey, it does look like earnings is next week here. Let me go to QBTS since I'm going to chapter these together. Yeah, kind of same thing. That pop happened around the same time. It's definitely now cooled off. Let me just, because we flashed it, IONQ, yeah, you're also popping and dropping a little bit. And then what about QUBT? Popping and dropping a little bit. Yeah, I don't know what made that thing go. Again, one thing I don't say this phrase often on these videos, but I say it in my head or to myself because I really don't talk to anyone but all of you on these videos. I kid, not kid. But sometimes a stock is going to show its hand a little early, right? Like it's just giving you that little peek and then boom, it goes, right? Maybe this was a nice little interesting way of saying, hey, volume's ready to come. Let's just open the market tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I think it's well worth the watch. Let me come back to regular hours because you know that's how we make these videos. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. We're gonna come into IONQ and QUBT on this one, and really the common theme between them is not quite over all the moving averages, right? So just like the other ones, they fell down here, right? And actually this is, let me see the other one too as I say these words. Look, both of them fell, I will even use the word significant, significantly lower than the 50 moving average, all right? You really don't want to see that happen, right? They were several days before it, right? Looks like we had an old golden line right there on QUBT, so it makes that save look just a little cooler and makes me look a lot smarter. But you know I'm not here to brag about these lines, right? But hey, I make them golden sometimes for a reason, and yeah, I think this one did hold right there. What is a tough golden line to break up should be a strong golden line support, and that is really what we've seen right here, right? Again, not quite over all the moving averages. I think the easy thing to say here is we want to get over this 1750 right here on QUBT, and yeah, from there, just like what was it, Rigotti, right? We're not quite over the last golden line, but you get me over that thing, that 2240, and yeah, good things are going to start raining here, right? When we look at IONQ, it's almost the exact same story, right? Not quite over them all. I don't have another golden line down here. Yeah, so it doesn't make this one look that good, right? But hey, regardless and all that, and look again, I know I just showed it, but just in case, what was that monstrous one all of a sudden came back down a little bit more to reality. I don't know if that's an earnings tomorrow assumption. I really don't, right? But I don't think there was any news that I saw. It was just maybe, like I said, a very big interest in let these earnings come, let's see what they are, and let's go from there, right? Because again, I just said Rigotti's in a couple days. I'm flashing right now again that IONQ is tomorrow. 45.25, that's what we're looking for, right? We actually got over that in this little after hours moment, but again, I'm trying not to after hours is crazy, right? Like it just is. The volumes are different. You can't use stop losses after hours like you can in regular hours. Like literally, the rules are different. The volume is different. I know a lot of educated people that don't know how to buy and sell in pre-market and post-market. And I always have to tell them plus extended, plus extended, plus extended, plus EXT, plus EX, right? Like it's significantly different. Let's not use the word significant. It's different enough that I really do my best. And again, I'm a greedy little human, right? Like I ain't no robot, right? It's hard to see these blue little lines go up when I know we close down here and this bad boy, bad girl is creeping up a little bit, right? But after hours are weird. After hours are not a true justifier all the time. Sometimes they clearly are. Sometimes it goes even higher, right? But yeah, all that said, we're looking for 45.25 here. I would I would say as long as we can hold 41.30, let's just use, no, 41.11 is too low. I like 41.25. And I think as long as we can hold 41.25, I'll call it bullish on IONQ as, ooh, this is a little more doji. Oh man, and there's just a lot of air. What's this at? Truth be told, that's probably where I would have clicked anyways, right? Where I'm clicking is on this candle all the way back here in 2024. It's lining up pretty well just over that 8 moving average, right? So let's use 1580. I think as long as we, but that's a lot lower than where we're at. No, I don't like that. So if this loses 1660, I think it's going to very quickly fall back to 1580. That's basically that wick that you see that seemingly recovered during the day, right? So I think that's my first line is don't lose 1660. That said, I actually am bullish all the way down here at 1580. I think as long as we don't go below $15.80, this is going to be okay. And again, all we really want to do is basically get into, yeah, I like this line actually. What's this? That's that. Look, in a lot of ways, this $17.52, that's actually a really good line to use. Let's even just raise it just a little bit. Give me this. I'm 50% of that. I'm already into that. I'm into that. I'm into that. Like, $18. You give me $18 golden, $18 money line. I think you'll run to that 22.40 golden line. You break that. Really, if this starts going, I'm going to assume that the rest of the sector is going to go, right? The one thing that could happen is one of these stocks has good earnings and one of them has bad earnings, right? So watch that dynamic. If Regati does well, when is this? Sorry, on the 12th, okay? But IONQ does bad tomorrow. I probably should have done that the other way around, and I wish they were a little bit closer, right? But you get what I'm about to say, right? Like, sometimes one is going to be good enough to support the bad of the other. Most of the time, they'll run independent. If the market likes one of them and the sector strength is there, but the market does not like one of the other ones, it's not always going to curl back up from the strength of the sector. You know what I mean? So watch each of these individual earnings since they're basically within this week and next week, right? But hopefully the sector strength carries it all. And really, hopefully there's just this residual, kind of like I started this video with, there's good AI need, there's good tech, like there's so much like infrastructure that's needed, and quantum is more than just the infrastructure, you know what I mean? It's almost part of it as well, right? And I'm not tech enough to explain any of this well, but I think you get the words I'm trying to get out of my mouth. So let me know your thoughts, let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so much.